Listen now, we the talk around town. Alex threw the ball to Smokey for a touchdown. Ha. It's fourth down and you don't really want no more. We've been winning from the door. You should check the scoreboard. Ha. Check the scoreboard. Ha.
Welcome back to another episode of the Scoreboard. Going into week 6, we're starting to have bye weeks today, so 2 fewer games from now on. Smokey, how are you doing?
Oh man, I'm doing good. You know why I'm doing good? Because I actually made up some ground on you this past week in the tally. Yeah, I got 12 right. You got 10 right. Brings us to a score of 35 for me. Whoa, hold on, that's the wrong. That was last week. Where's this week? 47 for me and 48 for you.
Okay, so still 1 point difference. It's shaping up to be a close one, as it's been every year. We weren't expecting that.
Yeah, we disagreed on Falcons, Jets. Falcons, Jets, Saints, and Washington. Who else was it? The Bills and Chiefs. And there was one more I got right in here. Yeah.
That was not smart. Should not have done that.
Oh yeah, Packers, Bengals. You picked the Bengals.
Oh, the Bengals should have won that. That's sad. They were a better team. They should have won the game.
Was this not the worst kicking ever in the history of a Sunday of football?
Horrible. I think, didn't we have over the course of the weekend 13 missed extra points?
Yeah, it was something like that. And most of them happened in like the first 30 minutes.
Yeah, that has to be like some kind of record. It was not very good.
Yeah, it was horrible.
That's insane.
Yeah. I was watching Red Zone.
It's a close one. Oh, yeah, same. On Sunday night, same, and everyone was just like at 6 points, and they all missed they all like missed the kick. So it's
they
crazy.
just kept flipping from missed field goal to missed field goal.
Maybe they have to move them up again.
Yeah.
Just move them closer, so they'll be easier. But going into week 6, though, we have 4 teams on bye, so 2 less games. But starting off Thursday night with the Bucs at the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, in all actuality, the odds are going to say the Bucs should roll right over the Eagles. But I do have some trepidation about that because I think this is a game that the Bucs could easily drop. And I say that because the Eagles have been putting points on the board. And if you've noticed, Jalen Hurts actually have more touchdowns than what it appears to be because he keeps getting them called back. There's always a flag somehow on like half of his touchdowns. And he is running all over the field. You know, I don't think the Eagles are great by any means, and I don't think Jalen Hurts is the next Lamar Jackson in all actuality. But this is a game that the Eagles could jump up and win this one. But just for the sake of winning this, I have to take the Bucs because it's just too big of odds.
Yeah, I think so, right? The Eagles, they haven't proven that they can really hang with these like very strong teams. And this is a quarterback that's sort of inexperienced, not necessarily the greatest pocket awareness as like a passer, even though he's made some improvements there. And this Bucs defense is ruthless, so they're gonna come after him. They're gonna rattle him all day. It doesn't seem like a game for him to shine particularly well, especially Thursday night. So I'm gonna take the Bucs as well. Sounds like the smart money for sure. Now this one's a real tank bowl here. The Dolphins at the Jags.
Oh yeah, unfortunately this is tank bowl. Such high hopes for the Dolphins this year. I don't know. Is it gonna be Jacoby? Is it gonna be Tua? It's tough. The team's not playing well either way. I do think they have a better chance with Tua than with Jacoby overall, but the Jags are horrible. You know, there's no way around that. They are starting to score. You know, they're starting to do something, but they're still, you know, the worst team in football by all means. So it makes this really tough. I think these teams, especially without Tua, these teams are like dead even in my opinion. Injuries all over the place on both teams. You know what? I'm going to take the Jags. I'm going to give them 3 points for being at home and get them their first win this week.
It's unfortunate that I don't get to bring the shocker first because I also wanted to take Jaguars, but I'm going to stick with that too. Yeah, we still don't know if Tua's going to be starting or not. It's not really reliable there, and this is one of the better opportunities that Jacksonville is going to get to finally win a game against Miami, and this is where they have to start clicking. Trevor Lawrence has gotten incrementally better. Rate of progress has been slow, but that's sort of to be expected for a rookie, especially with new system, new head coach, basically an an entire team being rebuilt. It's going to take a couple more years, by the way. But this is a game that he could probably get his first win. So I'll pick Jacksonville to take it. The Chiefs at the Washingtons.
You ready for this one? Tank Bowl.
Okay, all right. I'm not ready for that. Not yet.
Not man, they're 2-3 right now. Who expected that to happen? And so is Washington, for that matter. Washington's let Jameis and the Saints run right over them, like just easily put up nothing, like no defense whatsoever. And it's Jameis freaking Winston. Like, is Jameis good or is Jameis bad? Because it must be like a Ryan Fitzpatrick thing where it's game to game. Yeah.
Both and neither, and sometimes at the same time, and sometimes currently.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so to go into Washington and win this should be what's happening. If the Chiefs are still legitimately a playoff team like they are in the Vegas odds, I'm going to have to take the Chiefs here. They cannot lose this game, because if not, their season's going to spiral down very quickly.
They absolutely cannot lose this game by any means. They're the worst record in the division. The Chargers are 4-1. We have Raiders at Broncos coming up later, so one of those teams is going to win. Chiefs have to win. If not, then there's some serious trouble brewing, and we're actually talking about a good chance of them missing the boat there on that playoff train. But I think this Washington team is probably a good way for them to kind of get back into the groove, at least go to 3-3. And I'll pick the Chiefs. Of course, they're a higher class team. Just quarterback is still one of the best players in the league, and he's gonna have to step up, and this offense is gonna have to carry the team. The defense isn't good. Defense has never been good. To two back-to-back Super Bowls, the Chiefs defense has never been particularly strong. It's an offensive team, and they have to put up 30-40 points every game to win, and that's what I believe they'll be able to do again. So I'll take Kansas City as well. Rams at the Giants.
Rams at Giants. Man, the Giants are destroyed. Like, the players are dropping left and right. Even Daniels got a concussion, so the kid looked good until the concussion, I'll tell you that. I mean, he was on his way in for the end zone. He was running the ball himself and just got taken out. But that's what he can do. You know, he can run the ball like that. I just don't know if he's as durable as some of the other guys in the league who can also run the ball. But then again, as we see with Trey Lance, these guys are dropping also. Gotta go. Yeah, I can't take the Giants in this one. I can't.
Yeah, you tried. Can I make this pick just for fun? No, you really can't. Rams should win it. I totally agree. Like with like literally the three best players on the Giants being out on like nearly back-to-back plays last week, Barkley, Jones, and then Kenny Golladay as well, and everything's up in the air. We don't know what's going on at all. Not looking very good. Rams, it's a must-win. Probably the easiest game to pick this week, if we're being honest. Texans at the Colts. Tank Bowl.
Tank Bowl. It's definitely a tank bowl. Although, I think the Colts gave the Ravens a hell of a battle there. But it came down to the fourth quarter, and they said, hey, Lamar Jackson, do you think you can beat us? And Lamar said, yes, I know I can beat you. And then he proceeded to do so. It was no contest at that point, but they put up a hell of a fight through the game. The Colts, have a decent offense. They have a decent defense. Once more of their guys come back, they're going to be even better through the season. Texans, Davis Mills was actually a decent quarterback for one game in his career. I don't think that's going to continue because it was against the Patriots, who just haven't figured everything out yet. Patriots are rebuilding, as weird as that sounds. I'm going to go with the Colts at home. They should easily win this one.
And the Colts are by far the best bad team in the league, right? Like this record, 1-4 would indicate that they're in company with the Dolphins, Texans, and Giants. They're so much better than all of these teams, so they're gonna win this one for sure. Colts are playoff quality team coming to the season, somehow managed to not win games, and we also have to look at it this way: a field goals difference in this 1-4 would be a 3-2 record, and then you don't blunder it away against Baltimore and you flip it, it's a 4-1 record. I think this Colts team's got a lot of wins in it. But it's going to have to come sooner rather than later, and it absolutely has to come at home against the Texans. Baltimore, the Colts have to win. A quick anecdote, though, you're going to like this one, because you mentioned that Ravens-Colts game. Just a fantasy anecdote from me personally. Going into this game last night, I was ahead by 7 points in my fantasy league, and my opponent still had Lamar Jackson.
Oh.
And I had Mark Andrews.
Oh, nice. And
Lamar scored like 42 points, but like everything he threw was to Mark Andrews, so he scored 41 as well. And that was like this one single player in the league that could have saved me to win. I think that's the most traditional example of what fantasy players refer to as a handcuff, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, kind of. I did the exact same thing on Sunday night because the guy I was going against had Josh Allen, and I had Dawson Knox. And I was like, oh my God, there's no way I'm not getting beaten. He's got Josh Allen, and Josh Allen is going on fire right now. But it just so happened that 3 of his great passes were to Dawson Knox. And because it's a receiver and getting touchdowns, he scored a comparable amount of points, and I won the game. So
I got extremely lucky there, I have to say. They ran the football a couple times, and they, like, more than once they got stopped at like the 2-yard line, and I threw it then they threw it from there. I threw it to Mark Andrews, and then the 2-point conversion, they always threw it to Mark Andrews as well. So he had like 150 yards, 2 touchdowns, and like 10 catches or more. So I won that game in miraculous fashion. But moving on, both picking the Colts, moving on to the Bengals and the Lions.
Well, I guess this comes down to the health of Joe Burrow. What does he have, a throat contusion?
That's what was suspected,
Yeah, he finished the game, so I assume if he was
overtime.
I assume if he was well enough to play the game that it couldn't be too that bad. I haven't heard anything since then. Nothing has came through on the alerts or anything, so I'm going to go with he's playing this week, and the Lions are horrible. They can't even get their best player, who is TJ Hawkinson, the ball anymore. Like, this team is horrible. Literally, there is, well, I guess DeAndre Swift and TJ Hawkinson are the best ones on the team. They can't get either one under the ball. They're stuck on Jamal Williams also, when Swift is a much better running back, but we'll lay that aside. The Bengals are going to go into Detroit and crush them.
I will agree with that. Yeah, I would assume Joe Burrow's going to play. Say if I'm hearing anything to the contrary, if you like an injury like a throat contusion, it's typically more of an acute thing. So him suffering it during the game and then finishing the game, it can really only be so bad. Because if he was like acutely basically being unable to breathe, then he would have been taken out of the game. But he seemed fine. He finished it even in overtime. I'm assuming with a week's worth of recovery, he'll be cleared. Not that they necessarily need him, because I believe they'd even win without him. But if he starts, it's going to be a pretty easy game. Bengals beat the Lions. Packers at Bears.
Oh, the oldest matchup in NFL history right here. I believe this game, actually, when the Bears were the Staleys, took place in, if not the first, but one of like the 3 or 4 first NFL seasons ever played. This was one of the matchups. This shouldn't be a contest. The Bears are winning somehow. They're 3-2 right now, which makes no sense, because if you watch them play, they're still bad, and Matt Nagy still does not know how to coach. And he still should not be the coach there, but they are winning somehow. Packers are much better because of Aaron Rodgers and Devontae. Packers are going to win this one easily on the road.
Yeah, and Devontae. And then there's like 3 receivers on the Bears that you could put in the same spot as Devontae Adams, and you couldn't tell apart, basically. No, Aaron Rodgers is going to beat the Bears. I do agree with that. It's kind of what he does. He wins divisional games. Even though it's so absurd to say this like with such confidence, because if you take away Aaron Rodgers, take away the quarterback's position, you'd say this Bears team will shut out the Packers. Like the roster is so much better on Chicago, it's ridiculous. But just the difference that quarterback makes, and you got Justin Fields starting, who of course rookie, shows some promise but also some flaws, and he's just not going to hang with Aaron Rodgers. Doesn't matter who's around him. So Packers win. Chargers at Ravens, game of the week.
Yeah, I got it wrote down right here for one of two games of the week, in my opinion. But yeah, this is definitely the game of the week overall, and we're gonna find out, how for real Justin Herbert is, which it's obvious he is for real though. But he's going against a very stout defense in this case, and the Ravens, have a hell of a run game, as we all know, because of Lamar Jackson. And as we saw, Mark Andrews is still a very real factor in this game. So using the run to set up the pass, that's what they do. The Chargers have a hell of a secondary, like you said last week. And I think Derwin James proved that this week. He proved how big of a monster he is. So this is scary. I got these games about even, and I know you're going to go with the Chargers. So I'm picking the Ravens here.
You're reading my mind there, huh?
Yeah.
So, one thing I want to say is, I sort of called this, but Justin Herbert is, at this moment, officially the front runner in the MVP race. It's still early to, of course, talk about it, but if the season ends today, Justin Herbert's
over Stafford, MVP. Huh?
Over Stafford, over anyone, over Kyler Murray, Darnold. He didn't have a great game. Kind of threw himself out of contention. Dak Prescott, now. Aaron Rodgers, that week 1 game. The Justin Herbert is the MVP if the season ends today. Now, that being said, Lamar Jackson isn't too far behind. I think he's at this point, he's kind of outscoring half the league's teams in total yards. I saw some statistic there where he's like if you put him on a list of total yards with all teams and then just him by himself, he'd be like 17th or something, which is completely insane to think about. So this is going to be a great matchup and a potential AFC Championship game, a preview as well. I think those are two teams that are definitely going to have a say in the playoffs. You kind of took it away there. I'm going to pick the Chargers because I think that Justin Herbert is a slightly more complete, better quarterback. Both of them are, of course, MVP caliber talent, and it should be a great game. Can't wait to watch it, but I'll take the Chargers. Vikings at the Panthers.
Tank ball. No, I'm just kidding. The Panthers still have a chance. I mean, they're 3-2 right now. Now, this is going to be the game right here. Is this the game where you get right or not? Is Sam Darnold for real? Did he really turn his career around or not? This is the game you need to come out and prove it, because the Vikings are not good whatsoever. So if you come out and you only put up a handful of points again, then we're not going to take you seriously from this point on, because it's the Vikings. But if you can come out and dominate this game and beat them by a good 21 points, like you should, or at least beat them by 14, I'll take that. Then I will say the Panthers are legit. But I'm going to take them at home, especially because they're at home. They should easily crush the Vikings.
It should be a get-right game for both of these teams, right? You could argue. I'm sure they both look at it that way. I don't feel like the Vikings necessarily see themselves as tanking or as kind of being like a weak team. I think they still are trying to compete, and they have a solid core and are just underperforming, whereas the Panthers, worst team on paper, but just playing better. Not having Christian McCaffrey on the field is noticeable. I will say that. They started the season 3-0, borderline unstoppable running attack with the most mobile quarterback this league has ever seen, Cam Newton 2.0, the man out of USC. And add to that, potentially the best or most dangerous running back in the league. It's a strong duo, so can't wait Sam Newton, there it is. I'm going to steal that and tweet that later. Thank you. Add to that Christian McCaffrey. It's a good offense, so hopefully we'll see him back soon. I'll pick the Panthers. I have to pick the Panthers. I think they'll get it right. Should not have lost to Philadelphia at all. I started getting careless, started getting ran over, giving up some of the big plays that you can't give up. They had a good lead, and they were dominating the game. They're a better team, and they start getting beat over the top. A couple quick touchdowns, and it was over. So can't let that happen again. But I think the Vikings are probably continuing to underperform. I'll take the Panthers. I still have faith. The only undefeated team remaining, the Cardinals at the Browns.
Yeah, and see, this is my second game of the week. It is a distant second over under the Chargers and Ravens. But this is my second game of the week. Why? Because fantasy implications here. This should, by all means, be a shootout. We've seen that that the Browns are capable of putting up massive points. We've seen that the Cardinals are capable. The Kyler Murray is hitting passes downfield that we never thought he was capable of in the previous seasons. And, as much as I don't really like to say it, Baker Mayfield is playing great for Baker Mayfield. And the team is putting up points. I mean, it's a run-first team, obviously, when you have a running back duo like Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Why wouldn't you run the ball? I mean, they're going to run all over everybody. So this should be a shootout in the end. And I'm going to pick the Cardinals because they haven't lost yet, but this could go either way.
Here's my setup for what my picks are gonna be at the end of it. If we look at both of these teams' games from last week, I think the Browns lost, Cardinals won. I think the Browns played better than the Cardinals did, because you have to take it in context. The Browns lost narrowly in a shootout where they scored over 40 points against maybe the best team in the league, or one of the top 5 teams in the league, in the Chargers. And the Cardinals almost lost, and Kyler Murray, by the way, played horribly against the 49ers, who are probably more of a 500 team. As much as I don't like to say that, because I'm obviously a fan, but that's what it is looking like right now. Especially with the uncertain quarterback situation. Offensive play calling hasn't exactly been very good. I think the Browns impressed me more than the Cardinals did last week. I expected the Cardinals to be the ones to score 40 points and win in a blowout, and the Browns to kind of get trampled by Justin Herbert and the Chargers, but it was the opposite. Both of these teams could easily be 4-1 right now if things had gone a different way, and we'd be looking at the game differently. So taking that into account, I'll take the Browns. I think it's about that. The Cardinals have been only a 1 or 2 week development ever since their good start, but they've kind of been regressing. Like, that was not an impressive win. And Kyler Murray he did not get any chance to escape the pocket. He did not run. He got sacked. Did not look very comfortable in the pocket. It did look as strong as we may believe it would be. He snuck away with the win, but not an impressive one. Browns to beat the Cardinals. I think that's my upset pick of the week. And that's the one where I hopefully make up a point on you. We'll see. Raiders at the Broncos.
Yeah, and one thing, I don't hold that against Kyler here in this situation because it's game script. The San Francisco is not putting up points, so it's not like you have to go out there and just chuck the ball downfield trying to catch up. Whereas the Browns needed that, Chargers too, in a shootout. You're gonna score more points when your opponent is scoring more points. But either way, Broncos and Raiders. Probably tank bowl by the end of the season here when these two play again. Because neither one of them are as good as their record indicates, especially as good as their records indicated 2 weeks ago. And now 2 more weeks have passed and we realize these guys are not as good as everybody was saying they were. Your Heisman candidates are out the window here. Your defenses are not as good as was touted. Your coaches are not as good as people thought in the beginning of the season. I think, you can't replace the Raiders coach, but Vic Fangio could be on his way out at the end of the season. I can see that coming. I'm going to stand by that unless they just start winning, going on a tear. But here, this is a toss-up to me, so I'm going to give 3 points to the home team and say that the Broncos win this one.
Man, do you remember about actually 2 to 5 weeks ago, that entire range, the Raiders were 3-0, looking like they were gonna break through all expectations. Derek Carr and MVP course, and people were telling me, I predict the 8-1. They're gonna be mediocre. They're gonna go 500. They're 3-0, looking like a winning team. Things have an interesting way of relegating themselves, don't they? Now they're 3-2. John Gruden's out the window, which is fun. This whole story is a humongous joke, by the way. I couldn't really care because it's only the Raiders and I don't like them. But what a joke! I mean, the Raiders organization, the entire NFL, making a fool of themselves. Not to say that this entire Gruden contract that he got from this team wasn't ridiculous from the start, right? 10 years, 100 million for a guy who hasn't coached in 20 years. I mean, it's like the beginning was ridiculous, the entire time was ridiculous when he was there, and the end is also ridiculous. But with that being said, this team is going 8-1. It's fate at this point. I know it's going to happen. I absolutely. I'm more worried about them putting 8 wins together after this whole shenanigans story. But in this one, I'll say I was kind of tempted to pick this to be the tie because it would fit so well, and the records even. Broncos probably overrated as well, but first game after this whole story, I think Denver's gonna win. I think there's an argument to pick the Raiders because typically you get that boost of energy with the new head coach, but that's typically whenever it's been like a head coach who's losing too much and got fired, and then a guy takes over who's maybe a little bit better, or at least they're reinvigorated. I don't think this is gonna reinvigorate anyone. Like this is gonna pull the team down or anything. So Broncos are going to win. Raiders go to 3-3, and they go 500 from there, and I can see the future. Cowboys at Patriots.
Yeah, this should be no contest. I mean, the Patriots did not look great in their win. They're barely win, over the Texans, who, I guess you can argue over who's worse, the Texans or the Jags, but the Texans are definitely bottom 5 team in the NFL. There's no doubt about that. These guys let Mills go out and look like a viable quarterback. So this defense is not the Patriots defense of old. They're not stopping anything. I don't know how they stopped Tom Brady. Now that is weird if you think about that. Like, how did you stop probably the most prolific offense in the NFL, or at least the most superstars on offense in the NFL? But you can't stop Davis Mills and the Texans. I think they had a hangover from that game. Like, everybody put so much into that game with Tom Brady that they had a hangover. But I'll get back to it. The Cowboys should go into New England and easily win this one because they are on fire right now.
Man, I've been, no joke, I was trying to convince myself for the better part of 5 days now to pick the Patriots, to find any way to pick New England. Because I know you don't like the Patriots and you're glad to pick the Cowboys. I particularly happen to not like the Cowboys very much. No, I don't necessarily like the Patriots and a lot of people involved with that organization, but I would gladly cheer for the Patriots any day against the Cowboys. Like, I cheered for them when they beat Seattle in that Super Bowl. So I want to pick. I kind of want to pick New England. I want Mac Jones to show up and kind of show that he can be for real, because he has been the best rookie quarterback so far and the most ready, as I've kind of projected. That being said, I believe you're not giving Davis Mills enough credit. I think he's better than people think. I think he's probably a more viable starter than Trot Taylor, or whatever journeyman you can come up with for the near future. But that's a whole different matter. Texas roster is completely horrible. I don't want to live in a world where the Cowboys are 5-1. That's my biggest issue looking at this. So, unfortunately, though, my better judgment says that's probably going to be reality, and Dallas is going to win. I will pick Dallas with the huge asterisk or huge exclamation disclaimer to it that even though I pick Dallas, if the Patriots win, I get to brag and celebrate it next week.
All right.
Even though I don't get any points for it, but I because I want it to happen. So I'm kind of trying to jinx the Cowboys by picking them here. That's what I'm doing. Speaking of teams I don't particularly like, the Seattle Seahawks at the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, weird, man. Weird to think. These guys are perennial playoff teams. Like, these two teams here, you rarely see a year go by when they are not in the playoffs, and they are both sitting at 2-3 right now. If you were willing to bet the odds, no one would have had them at 2-3 right now. And it's tough because the Steelers, even though they were playing like crap, they actually looked decent this past week and pulled off the win, albeit over the Broncos, who are not as good as everyone thought. But the Seahawks looked completely horrible. I mean, the Seahawks got taken down by the Rams. It was a Thursday night game, it's an island game, so you can make what you will out of that. Some people think that, it hinders scoring on Thursday nights, But I don't know. Like, this team, I still haven't circled which team I want yet. Because actually, I'm going to go ahead and take the Steelers at home. Because it is kind of a toss-up, I think. And the Steelers coming off a win, Seahawks coming off a loss. I'm going to give it to the home team.
I'm gonna very, very much enjoy saying what I'm just about to say. Okay, so just listen up. Tank Bowl. The Seahawks. If the Chiefs and the Washingtons are Tank Bowl, this is the Tank Bowl as well. Same exact record. Okay. Yep. Seahawks and Steelers Tank Bowl. One of them needs a quarterback more than the other. Yeah, that needs a bunch of other stuff. Toss up, like you said, and purely out of spite, I will take whatever you didn't. That was my plan going into this, just probably similar to yours, just pick the spur of the moment. So I'm going to take Seattle, but I have no idea. I think these are both, these teams are pretty much equally underperforming. Hopefully, maybe not going to have much of a say in playoff discussions by the end of week 8 or around week 8 or 10. I'll pick Seattle, but either way, I couldn't care. It's Tank Bowl. That's all that matters to me. And then Monday night, pretty good game as well here potentially. Bills and Titans.
Yeah, the Bills, Titans look good. I mean, they do. They're kind of up and down this season. But they're looking decent, you know. They beat the hell out of the Jaguars for whatever that means. The Jaguars are not good either. Bills are dominant. The Bills look like they did last season. Like I said, Josh Allen is back to being dominant. You know, if his regression is over for this year, that's one of the shortest stints of regression I've ever seen. I mean, even Lamar, as great as he is, didn't come back until after midway through the season. So, if Josh Allen continues to play like that and his total regression was only 3 games or whatever, that's breaking the trend right there. I'm going to take the Bills to beat the Titans in Tennessee.
The Bills have a serious point to make of being the best team in the league right now. And this goes, of course, comparatively against Arizona as well, because I believe a lot of people last week had Arizona 1. This includes NFL.com, the rankings itself, and the Bills at 2. And this goes to context again. You know, the Bills beat a Chiefs team, which was a hotly contested matchup last season, and they beat them handily. I mean, they destroyed the Chiefs in a way that we wouldn't think would be possible. Like in even what didn't even really become a shootout, because Buffalo was dominant for 4 quarters, and the Cardinals had an unimpressive win against a very unimpressive team. I think a lot of people now have the Bills have won, and including NFL.com. The Cardinals did nothing wrong. Like, they didn't lose a single game, but the Bills are now number 1 ranked in the power rankings, which I believe makes sense. I think they're probably the stronger team. Titans, you never really know what you're going to get. And that's been kind of the case for me for a lot of years. This team has been an enigma to me, for the most part, to predict them. But the safe bet is to pick Buffalo, right? They're the best team in the league. That means there's no team is supposed to beat you. And I think that includes the Titans, and the Bills are going to win this. I'll take Buffalo as well. So that wraps up the week. We have the Falcons, Saints, Jets, and Niners on bye week. Both of our teams on bye week, so we can thoroughly focus on all these other games.
Thank God.
Yeah, it's about time, because you know what, we don't have a quarterback. If we have to play this week, yeah, it might be tough.
We don't have wide receiver.
We don't have a kicker. We have a quarterback. We don't have a tight end. It's not so good.
We have a tight end. We don't have a wide receiver out there. But we have a tight end. Damn it! And he's gonna be good.
And he is basically a wide receiver.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, you've seen a lot of Jimmy Graham in your time, you know, with being in the same division with the Saints. I mean, that's that's a pretty good comparison there. As for the Niners, when 2 weeks ago we're talking about the luxury, hopefully, of having Trey Lance sit for the rest of the year and not being forced into play. Now, next week playing against the Colts, we have to hope for any quarterback to be healthy. Either Jimmy or it doesn't even matter at this. But no, we'll say this though about Trey Lance. I think he looked better than I expected, slightly better.
Worked well with Debo too.
It worked well with Debo. Made some mistakes, made some good plays, made some bad plays. I would say he looked better than Kyler Murray, purely quarterback play-wise. This is, of course, small sample size there, and he probably played against a slightly weaker defense as well. Actually, no, I will take back. I think Cardinals' defense is formidable this year. But of course, he's still lacking a year of experience, right? He's not a guy who's going to win with a mediocre to slightly above average team. He's not going to make the difference. He has the potential to become that. He's not there yet, as we've predicted. He's further along than I thought, which is good because I'm confident to say if Jimmy, if he decides to just stay at the hospital, he just lives there for the rest of his life. First second he sets a foot out the door, he breaks something anyway, snaps city, goes right back inside. If that happens, this hypothetical scenario were to transpire, Trey Lance would at least be a serviceable starter even for the rest of this season. I'm confident in saying that. He wouldn't be a game breaker all the time, but he wouldn't be so hopelessly overwhelmed just between the ears that it would ruin him for the rest of his life, like it did guys like Deshaun Kaiser, who were in a very similar spot as a rookie, being forced to start, end up 0-16, or Josh Rosen for that matter, throwing a horrible team, ended up being the worst team in the league, and just never mentally recovered from that. I think we're safe from that, but of course, optimally, I'd like Jimmy to come back, but we'll see what happens there. Jets. They'll gladly take the bye week, I believe. Of course, rookie quarterback as well, and not put too much on them. And the Saints, I don't even know what to say about the Saints. They're just the Saints. It's incredible how quickly Jameis has transformed what was the Bucs into now the Saints, or the Saints to the Bucs. They're the exact same team characteristically. It's you never know what you're gonna get each week. You're probably not gonna get a lot of playoff time, if any at all. But
you're gonna end up with 9 wins. Yeah,
you're gonna feed the Panthers twice a year. Or lose 2 games because the Panthers are going 5-1 in their division, of course. I know it's a football show. Just want to say, go Giants. Baseball playoff stuff going on, and you gotta keep rooting there. If one team can perform, at least I have to get behind that. So Niners not looking too good.
I feel you there. At least the Braves are in the playoffs.
Yeah, at least they're in the playoffs.
They're going to blow it at some point, though.
There is a pretty good chance for them to go far.
Yeah, it's kind of mirroring the Hawks, though. They're just squeaking into the playoffs. And I mean, I say squeaking. They won the division, but it was the worst division in baseball this year. They one of the worst records in the playoffs, and that includes wild card. So if they do go far, it's going to be a lot like the Hawks, where it's just house money. They shouldn't have been there anyway.
Hawks are good. I mean, realistically, you're not going to be the Falcons. Not going to beat the Bucs this year in the NFL. So maybe you could beat Tampa at least in baseball. Maybe you get a shot. I mean, it will be something. It will be something.
Tampa's got enough championships. Damn it, they won hockey last year too. So.
Oh, they did. Yeah. Yeah, I think they got enough. But they're going. Anyone loses to the Giants anyway. They started the season as the second worst team in the West, and now they're all of a sudden their number 1 seed. So cannot hate on that. That is, by the way, all of this recording is not exactly decided that they've won the season, the series against the Dodgers, because Game 4 happens tonight. 2 hours after we're recording this, and I don't know the result of it yet, but we'll see tomorrow. We'll know more then. Any news in the fantasy world or any outlook?
Yeah, actually, this week I'm going to talk about breakouts, and I'm going to say, I'm going to tell you when they happen, why they happen, and who is up for a breakout in the breakout season right now, and who should be entering a breakout season at some point in this season.
All right, that's gonna be interesting to see. Maybe some quarterbacks. Yeah. Maybe some good advice. As I'm starting to also turn my fantasy league around thanks to the heroics of Mark Andrews. If I win this week, I'm 500 again, so I'm on Raiders' course.
Hey, Mark Andrews has been one of those top 3 elites during his second season in the NFL, as a matter of fact. And yeah, he fell off last season, but he could easily get right back up there with the Kelseys and Kittles and Wallers,
Yeah. I'm very impressed to see safety big time for sure this weekend. So I'm gonna start him. I think I'm gonna start him even against the Chargers. But
Yeah, I've got him and Lamar on my dynasty team.
My other option is Jonnu Smith, and you just never know what you're gonna get in New England.
I'd rather have Hunter Henry than Jonnu at this point.
Yeah, probably. But we'll see. I'm gonna make sure to watch that scoreboard coming up later today. That is on the day that this is uploaded, of course. Stay tuned for that. If you are a fantasy player, you should definitely check that out. Advice from a true pro, so can't go wrong with that. It's gonna help you out for sure. Other than that, you got anything to add for week 6, Smokey?
I think that's it this week.
All right. We'll see you next week, and thank you for watching. Let us know your predictions in the comments, your bold predictions. What's going to happen with the Raiders? Are they going 8-1 like I've prophesized? And if no, then how in the world would it not happen now?
This should be the tie right here. The Raiders and Broncos. This should be the tie game.
It should be, and I wanted to pick it, but honestly, if I didn't lose 2 points last week against you, I would have picked it. If I had like a more comfortable buffer at this point, I would have picked tie because it just feels right. And we got close a couple times this season, by the way. But let us know your predictions in the comments, and we're gonna see you in the next one.
Deuces.
Check the scoreboard.